as the next guest here, but I certainly can maybe shoot a 3-ball better than him. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Well,
you hit your threes pretty well. But when he was cooking in the summer, he was cooking.
Carl, can you dunk?
Them's fighting words.
A volleyball, maybe.
Maybe a volleyball.
No, can you dunk a basketball?
No, especially not now.
Okay.
Dang.
All right. Well, thank you guys for having me on.
Let's go. Michael Gross. Up next is a man that if there was a cougar and he was in a group of people, he would probably be the one that gets eaten as the slowest. He's Salt City's #1 customer, and he hails from a place where the sun always shines. From Pepperdine, running under 4 minutes, it's the man, the myth, the legend, Karl Winter.
Hello.
Well, that was quite the introduction.
How we doing?
You guys flatter me. You guys gas me up too much. It's ridiculous.
Hold up. Just turn to the side. Turn to him. Look at that. That could cut glass, people. That could cut glass. I'm telling you, man. I don't know what do you eat in a day besides 3 cups of coffee? What do you eat?
It off when he runs
Yeah, I know. I don't what is running? I mean, let's start off there.
I'm just happy to have him from the chat room now to hear.
I know. He's always on. He's always calling.
Supporters here.
Right. I try to chime in, but you guys are turning me beat red. I'm not wearing my makeup anymore. But yeah, I appreciate it. But yeah, running wise, when the fire's hot enough, it can burn anything. So as long as I'm running enough miles, I can eat pretty much whatever I want. Don't tell my coach I said that.
Don't tell him.
Don't tell him. He's not watching. It's okay.
Well, similar to Gross, of course, you're a D1 athlete here at Syracuse, but you go from Pepperdine and you get to Syracuse. I mean, there's obviously a lot more behind just going from one school to another. How did you get here to go from one orange school to the next?
Well, the weather was definitely the biggest change, and it's nice to have a fellow West Coaster and yourself over here with all these Northeasterners and these East Coast elite, East Coast bias here from Mr. Villegas. But it was a big change, but Syracuse was somewhere that I considered for undergrad as well, so I knew the lore of the Newhouse school and the lore of the cross-country and track program as well. I mean, the program kind of sells itself, so it was not as difficult of a transition as I thought. I was kind of going out on a leap of faith, but I had such great people here like yourselves and like my teammates on the team that it was not as difficult of a transition as I'd have expected. It's not fun at being so far from home that I go back as seldom as I do to be 2,000 miles away. It's a bit of an expensive flight. Yeah. So I haven't been back in a while, but it's everything that I've hoped and more.
Can you explain to our listener what Dutch Bros is?
Oh, Dutch Bros is one of the best coffee shops on the planet. As you mentioned, I'm a coffee connoisseur. It's a little different than your typical.
Lord knows I didn't know it. I was like, Dutch Bros? What? I have no idea.
Yeah, it's a Pacific Northwest thing for sure. Started there in Oregon, huge in Oregon. It's spreading to California now, but it's basically only drive up or walk up. That's kind of like there's no inside, and it's mostly just drinks. They might sell some food now, but these kind of fancy drinks, they got energy drinks, and it's an expansive kind of secret menu that only the regular customers like Luke Schwartz and myself know.
I'm trying to wink. I can't do it with one bad eye.
You okay over there? You look like you're having some.
I know. I'm like struggling to blink.
No, we just call that blinking. This is not. I have a question for you.
Really? Yeah. That's new. He usually doesn't come prepared with these. So.
This guy. Yes, I do.
I'm kidding.
No, mine is just from your perspective as a student athlete that's also in the broadcast and digital journalism program here, how intensive that is, but also balancing that life of being a student athlete here and as good as you are and kind of balancing that life. How has that been for you here at Syracuse and at Newhouse?
It's been a lot. Yeah. Good question, Papa. It's been challenging for sure.
Thumbs up, everybody.
But I don't know. I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, I've kind of always done this since high school. Like, balancing school and sports is just kind of the way that I operate. So I wouldn't know it any other way. Like, it gets tough when you're trying to balance in like getting quality sleep and having some semblance of a social life as well. That's where it really gets challenging. But basically, it just keeps me on top of it. I feel like I'm better organized and more on schedule when I have more on my agenda versus if it's the summer or, even spring break, it's just harder to hold myself accountable. But it's also nice to kind of be in this major, this program, and be a student athlete just because it helps me relate to the people I'm covering. If I'm covering, a certain sport, like, I go to the same weight room and training room, and
familiar face.
Right.
Yeah.
So they kind of, I'm able to relate to them, and they're able to relate to me when I'm telling their stories. And I try not to make it a conflict of interest as much as possible, because I wear Syracuse across my chest in races, and some of these people are my friends. But I think that definitely helps me do both at the same time.
Karl, since knowing you, I think Papa and I can both agree that you're one of the hardest people I think we've ever met. And like he mentioned too, the balance, the fact that you're grinding in the classroom and then you're grinding on the track. The fact that you have mentioned since the start that you have had this goal of running under 4 minutes in the mile, and you did that a few weeks ago. What was that experience like for you to finally hit that goal that you've had for a very long time?
Yeah, I'd say because I've had it for so long, it was honestly a sense of relief more than anything, that it was kind of a barrier, a mental barrier, that like I knew I could do it for one reason or another. Like I'd broken the equivalent of it in the 1500. So breaking 4 was just like, I know I can do this, but I actually have to check the box. I have to be able to like legitimately say I've done it. I don't want to have to explain to people that like, I know I can do it, but I haven't actually done it, guys. Trust me. So I'd say it was a sense of relief, because I'd tried so many times and I came up so agonizingly short a few times. So it was nice to kind of check the box, and like that's something I'll be able to carry with me throughout the rest of my life. Like no matter how well or poorly the rest of my running career goes, I can always say that, and that's just kind of a milestone for all runners. So yeah, now that I've done it, I can focus on racing, and times aren't as important. They're still important, but ultimately it comes down to who you beat and how you beat them in championship races, and the time doesn't matter as much. So now that I've gotten that kind of barrier out of the way, it kind of took a weight off for the rest of the season.
Off your back, kind of.
Well, I'm actually surprised. I figured once you hit that, you'd retire, like hang it up, you'd be good to go, you're done.
Yeah, hand on a high note.
Yeah,
maybe I should have done that.
It's over for me, basically. I'm good to go. The coolest part about the fact that, one, it wasn't just a single cam and you can kind of see it. There's an up-close video of you crossing the finish line. Who was that guy that came and hugged you the minute you crossed the finish line? Who was that?
That was my teammate Ryder, who's a freshman on the team actually, and my other teammate Alex filmed it. So that was nice to have that alternate angle. There was a stream of the race, but it was like a stream that costs money, so you couldn't necessarily take that. It's probably copyrighted. I don't think I was even in the shot. So it was nice to have that video, and just my teammates were all there. Like they knew that this is a milestone for a lot of runners, so they knew how important it was to me, and they saw me as soon as I got off the track. And some of them were racing that day, and they were still like they knew how much it meant to me on the day. And some of them have that goal as well. Some of them have already done it as well. So it's just a thing that all other runners understand for sure.
Yeah. For me, like, and then from that video, you looked exhausted, but you can still tell you were smiling. But that made the rounds, and it just got so much attention here in Syracuse, and those accounts. You had interviews, and people were requesting you. What was it like to be on the other side of the camera now, like as an interviewee, instead of being a BDJ major where you're requesting interviews? Now you're on that other side. How was that kind of dealing with that now that you know what they're dealing with trying to interview you?
Yeah, it's a little weird for sure. Like I know the things, like I know how to put a microphone on myself. Like I think that probably helps the people that were doing the stories and stuff. But I realize that, even as an interviewee, sometimes like it doesn't come out, even right now, like it doesn't come out exactly the way I meant it. So like it's possible to like, even though you're the one in the story, to be like, oh, I don't exactly like the way I said that. Like I didn't come across the way that I meant to come across. And so I kind of realized that as well when I'm doing my own stories. Like maybe ask people at the end, like, do you want anything you want to clarify or anything else you want to say? Because they may not, like I have these thoughts in my head that like I want to convey, and they don't necessarily translate to words as easily as always. So I think that's the main thing that I took away. Like it's weird to get out on there and talk about yourself as it is without like coming off as pretentious, or just being the subject of the story was a little bit different. But it was nice, and I'd say it just gave me that other perspective.
And that's a great question too, because if you reverse it and you flip it on the other side, it's the fact that now that you've been in that spotlight, what you felt that you couldn't answer or what you couldn't do will hopefully make you a better interviewer when it comes to asking questions, like you said. Like, is there anything else you'd like to say?
like they want to be portrayed that way.
Exactly.
That's a great.
Yeah. So I mean, thank you for finishing my sentence.
Yeah, I mean, you want people to, you want to allow people basically to come across as their true and authentic selves, and like you'd think that I would be super comfortable on camera, but I was a little less comfortable even than I expected, just standing there talking about myself for a while, because it's not generally a subject I would talk about on camera.
Yeah. Talking about others. You got something else?
I guess. I don't know.
I was just gonna say, what is next for you? You know, after grad school, after running track, like what is your goal? What is your dream job? I know you want to do. Yeah, retiring. I mean, he's not gonna stop running. There's no way.
I was gonna joke and basically say, like, it's not football or basketball where you need your team and stuff. One, you can wake up and run, which is another question. Why? Secondly, like you can keep doing it until basically the bones start to hurt. But what was your question? Sorry.
No, that just what is his goal after this?
Yeah,
after you're done running and after you. Dude, I've been rattling off great questions. I don't know what you're doing over there. I don't know what you're doing.
I've had good questions too.
You're coming at me with my questions.
Get that hand away from me.
The gears are turning over here. They may be rusty, but they're turning.
Wow. Okay.
I had to get that one in there.
This is ridiculous.
No, I appreciate the question. Yeah, I mean, well, to your point, Luke, like why I didn't love running at first. When I first did it in high school, I kind of just did it because I was good at it and it was something to do in the fall, because I didn't want to get crushed playing football. But since then, I've kind of fallen in love with it and the team aspect of it as well, and just kind of the solitude on days that I do run by myself. So what's next running wise? Occupation wise, I'm sure I'm gonna I'm pursuing sports media just like the two of you. Like I want to get into it one way or another, and I'm sure that will hopefully be my full-time job come August or September of this year, God
Is there
willing.
Any specific sport?
Not necessarily. Like I've gotten the chance to call like 7-8 different sports, and I've enjoyed all of them. So
water polo.
Olympic sports.
Cool.
I have a soft spot for Olympic sports for sure, because that's what I compete at. Running wise, I don't really know what it looks like. Like there are things that I could pursue to try and run, I guess semi-professionally is the way you'd call it, because I could join a group or have a way that I could at least get like race entry money paid for and maybe gear, but I'm not good enough at this point to be getting a salary.
Don't
from
say
a group.
That about yourself.
So maybe at the end of the year. But whether or not I'm going to be motivated or have the time to continue competing and training at this high of a level, I don't know. Like you say, I will still run for sure. How much or how often, it really depends on where I am geographically, if I have people to train with, and things of that nature, and just whether or not I can fit it in with also having a full-time job. So I know that I'm going to pursue sports media full-time. Whether or not I can still keep running competitively on the side remains to be seen. I guess we'll find out in July or August of this year. Hopefully I'll be in somewhere where I have people to train with. If I don't, I'm sure I'll still run, but I probably won't be motivated enough to just continue working like I am right now with a college team where I have 25, 30 other people pursuing similar goals, and it's easy because my teammates help motivate me.
Maybe that's in Spokane with SWX.
We'll see. Spokane, Washington, great town. I've been there.
Let's go. Great town. Great town. Hey, before we wrap up and toss it over to the next Newhouse at Night show, just my last question for you. You've been a part of this program. You've been immersed. You've been a guy that's been doing it, from calling games to hosting studio shows. You've really been involved. What's one thing that you have learned throughout this process of being in the media that will carry you into the next phase of your life, into the job that you get next?
Yeah, that's another good question. I think just generally the first thing that comes to mind is just being genuine on camera, being genuine when you meet people, and not necessarily. Yes, we talk a lot about networking, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, because you want to build relationships, and eventually you can lean on those relationships and allow them to lean on you, but also just not to see everybody that you meet in the industry as like a means to an end. Like you don't want to, everybody you meet, you don't necessarily want them to think that you're trying to get something from them. Either you're trying to get an interview from them or you're trying to get a job from them. Just be genuine with people, whether you're there in the industry or not. And I think being genuine and authentic are the people that really set themselves apart in the industry, are not the ones that are constantly looking for personal gain or looking to get to the next level, or for that looking ahead to that next gig or job, which obviously we all are, but you're not going to get there by trying to step on other people. So I think the main thing that I've learned being here, surrounded by all these talented people that that I'm learning from other people in this program, but also the people teaching us, is that they didn't get where they are by thinking this is a mutually exclusive thing. Like, I have to take this opportunity away from somebody else in order to get it for myself. So I think that's the main thing that I've taken away, is that yes, we're in a competitive industry, but you don't necessarily have to be thinking about that all the time when you're just having a normal conversation with people.
Yeah.
Well, one of the most genuine people I know and have met in this program for sure. Your work speaks for itself, and that personality is something people really love. And I can't wait to see you one day calling the Olympics. You're going to be the next Bob Costas.
Oh, yeah.
So, hey, heck of a show today. We had a lot going on from Pro Day. Talked with the great Karl Winter, Michael Gross, of course, too. A big thank you to Sydney Staples and Sarah Brinsfield for watching here. Luke Owens, thank you to our producer. But don't go anywhere, because Newhouse at Night continues from 7 to 8 p.m. The boys are up next. We've got Adam, and then they've got also a guest, too. So not sure who the guest is, but he's going to rock your boots. So from Michael Villegas, I'm Luke Schwartz. We'll see you guys next week. Just 2 more shows left, so be sure to put that on your calendar.